Coming up on our Finding Better podcast, Logan is joining us. This young man has an incredible story that we can all learn from. He started his life in a cult, which almost led to his suicide, and then he ran. He ran and joined the Air Force and served tours of duty in Iraq. And then after that, he went on to fulfill his dream of becoming a live TV director. How cool is that? Right? An incredible story. And now he helps people destroy their internal limits and finally live the life they were born to lead. Talk about a person helping us find better. Unbelievable story. Please share this. Here we go. Hello, 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 and welcome back to our Finding Better podcast. My name is John Suzuki, and I am your host. And this is where we share real life experiences of people who have been there and done that in life. Because, sometimes the best path to success is the ones that other people have already pounded down for you, right? Following in the footsteps of others. And so this is what it's all about. It's not about opinions. It's not about theories. It's not about academics. It's about real life experiences of people who have been there and done that. And the idea is, hopefully you can learn from other people's experience. It's kind of a mentoring program, is what Finding Better is. And today I have Logan with me. Logan, welcome to Finding Better.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
I am honored to have you. Listen, you have a story and experiences that I think the whole world needs to hear. Let me just say a couple of things. This is the third of three episodes celebrating Veterans Day. And whether or not you're a veteran, the things that we talk about are some of the things are so freaking life altering. It's crazy. It's so cool. And Logan is going to share some of his experiences, and I fully expect that there's going to be some life-changing things that he's going to share with us as well for you and me. Now, as you know, right there is my dad's flag. I love the military. I support the military. I salute the military. Logan, thank you for your service. And my dad served in World War II. And some of you may know this, but he served in a little known unit called the Military Intelligence Service, which was a top secret group of Japanese Americans who were trained to fight Japan. So my dad fought in World War II in the Pacific Theater as a Japanese American fighting the Japanese. And they served as interrogators, interpreters, and negotiators. And these guys were attributed to saving hundreds of thousands of lives and shortening the war. Every veteran has a story. It's unbelievable. As you guys know, I wrote this book. It's called American Grit, and it's about World War II. It's about, again, Japanese Americans who volunteered out of the Japanese American concentration camps here in the United States and went off to fight for the United States in the Pacific Theater and against Germany and Italy. And these guys that I wrote about volunteered to fight for the army that put them and their families in those camps. And they joined a segregated Japanese American war unit called the 442nd, which went on to become the most decorated war unit in the history of the United States for its size and duration. Unbelievable stories. And this week, as we celebrate Veterans Day, really want to take the time to salute all of our men and women in the military, in the Army, Air Force, Navy, the Marines, the Space Force, and the Coast Guard. And whether you believe this or not, a lot of people sometimes say to me, "Hey, you know what? Japan is such a great place. I've been there. I've visited visited Japan. Wonderful place." And one person went so far and said, "If they won the war, the world would be great." Sorry, are you kidding me? If they won the war and the Germans won the war, we wouldn't be sitting here right now. And I'm so grateful. And this is not intended to be a political message, but it is Veterans Day week, and I just wanted to say thank you and salute them. So, Logan, you're here to share a little bit of your story and how you got to where you were growing up in the poor side, well, the south side of Chicago, right? And and how you made it all the way to where you are now and to an unbelievable life. So let me just share with everybody a little bit about your background, okay? So everybody
Please.
knows where you're coming from. So Logan grew up on the poor south side of Chicago. He was raised in a religious cult that hijacked his mind and shattered any sense of identity. That's what cults do. By the time he was 18, he was suicidal. He was trapped in a system designed to mentally manipulate and call it salvation. So he ran. He joined the Air Force. He ran from the pain, chasing purpose, trying to escape anything, but instead he found war. He served 2 combat tours in Iraq. God bless you, brother. He remembers the incoming attack alarm screaming through the sky, mortars raining down. Mortars, by the way, are bombs. And lying on the floor, crying, begging God to let him make it home. And he says that too many of us didn't. Uh, but coming home didn't mean peace. The mental war followed him back. Anxiety, depression, divorce. A numb life lived inside the comfort zone, breathing but not living, until one day he made a decision. Okay? Remember this point, folks. This is what I always say. It starts with a decision. And he stopped waiting for someone to rescue him. He took command, he built everything and pursued and achieved his dream of becoming a live television director. How cool is that? But that was just the beginning. Now he's on a new mission to give back and help people like you and me who feel imprisoned by trauma, imprisoned by fear, or false identities and breaks free. He says that he died metaphorically more times than he can count. And he came back each time with more fire and more resilience. And so today we're going to talk about healing. We're going to talk about radical responsibility. I love that word. I love those 2 words, radical responsibility, and how to stop just surviving and finally start living the life you were born to live. Every day is a gift. Let's do something truly amazing. Logan, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I feel like you said everything. Roll
No, no,
credits.
no, 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 no. What I said just created 1,000 new questions to everybody who's listening right
I
now.
love it. I love it.
And so let's talk about let's talk about. I want to talk about the whole story, and we're gonna talk about the whole story and every step of the way because it's the steps. It's each step. Everybody's in different parts of their journey right now, and some people are feeling trapped. Some people are coming back from the war or coming back from serving. Some people are trying to find a transition out of what they're doing. Sometimes some people don't know what radical responsibility means. So I want to go through the whole thing.
Let's go. Let's do it.
So you grew up on the south side of Chicago. Do you know a guy named Jim Croce?
I don't.
Yeah, he's an old singer that I grew up with, and I'm the last year of a boomer. But he wrote a song called "Bad Bad Leroy Brown," and it starts with "On the south side of Chicago, the baddest part of town. There lived anyway," and talks about this man called Leroy Brown. So anyway, check it out. It's all over. It's called "Bad Bad Leroy Brown." So let's talk about the south side of Chicago. What was that like?
Oh my goodness. Um, growing up in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s, it was kind of going through this transition of being a super, working class factory, meat packing center to kind of a bit more of a technology, a more of a white collar financial hub uh,
Hmm.
transition. But that was there's definitely kind of this. cavern between the two uh, kind of economic
Yeah,
system.
two
And
major different worlds.
absolutely, in the shadows, a lot of these major skyscrapers where people are, making millions of dollars. There's these incredibly desolate yet urban, projects and ghettos, and where there's a lot of, extreme hurt and pain and poverty. And it's interesting to live in both worlds per se, traveling through and going downtown and seeing, the fancy buildings and people very well off. And then just a couple blocks away, such this stark, drug using, just dilapidated, really desolate,
Wow.
but still in the middle of an urban sprawl area. So
Mhm.
it's fascinating.
So you were raised in a cult. What was that all about?
So before I was born, my mother found this church that was, um, in broad terms, a really strict form of Protestant Christianity, where the ladies didn't wear makeup and jewelry, the guys didn't wear shorts. It wasn't a cult in terms of a compound like Waco,
Hmm.
Texas, people might think of with
Right.
barbed wire, those types of things. It was more of a belief system. So, for example, as a child, I wasn't allowed to eat chocolate or watch cartoons or again, growing up in the 90s, peak Jordan era, I wasn't allowed to watch sports or play sports. And so it felt like every step of the way
Wait, you weren't allowed to watch Michael Jordan
I was
play
not allowed
basketball?
Michael Jordan. That's correct. It was pretty sad.
Wow.
Um, and and kind of one step further, we weren't allowed to celebrate holidays. So no birthdays, no Christmases, no, those types of holidays. So, and my mother was super strict. She didn't want her little boy to get caught up in the cycle of the ghettos and the
Sure.
cycles that so many other people get caught up in. That on top of this religious cult, I was just very ostracized and segregated, even more so from my peers, from my friends, from my classmates. It was pretty tough. It was pretty tough. And as a result, like I was bullied relentlessly.
Mm. And and you went to school.
Yes, I did go to school, but I wasn't allowed to participate in gym class. So
So
it was very
you were
different.
very different in a very tough neighborhood.
It was not easy for me growing up, and as a result, I ended up becoming suicidal at the 18 years old. I remember leaving church one Friday night, looking onto the street, and it was a big boulevard, and I remember seeing the trucks come by, and I remember thinking, it wouldn't be so bad if just one of those trucks came and put me out of the pain
Oh man.
life and just being different. Like I didn't want to have the newest clothes or shoes or anything like that. I just didn't want to be different anymore. And that that's a tough place for a kid, a child.
Yeah. No kidding. No kidding. Yeah, and I think about the young people that are listening, right? You didn't grow up with a silver spoon in your mouth. And you found yourself in this place where you know you just kind of described landing on the moon or something, right? Trying to survive in a place where you don't feel like you belong. And all right, so you ran.
I did. I the only way I in my 18-year-old brain that I thought that I could get away from this really heavy hold that it had on my mom and my grandmother and other parts of my family was to just go to the military and do something incredibly radical and just get out of that environment. And it worked. I joined the Air Force right out of high school with the ambitions of flying. Um, and Fortunately, I scored well enough on all of the tests. I just, uh, my eyesight was too poor to fly at the time.
Oh, oh,
Yeah,
killer.
I
Oh
know.
man.
And so I ended up becoming an airport operations manager, and traveled the world working, managing missions for the Air Force. Um, and found myself in 2 tours in Iraq. And there's no amount of training that will teach you how to mentally deal with and how to be okay with feeling the mortality of your life when you are getting bombed effectively 7 to 8 times a day. And yeah,
You
it's
know, I've never experienced a bomb. I've experienced an M80, right? That's about as close to a bomb
okay
as I've ever experienced, right? And to have that happen every day,
all
7 to 8
day.
times a day.
It's pretty, but it's an interesting dichotomy because your brain wants to make it normal. You have to still have some sense of normalcy with, friends and mealtime and, just navigating life, wanting some comic relief, watching television, and all of a sudden the alarm klaxon going off saying incoming, 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 and you have to hit the deck and grab your Kevlar vest and your helmet and wait for it to pass and hope for the best, knowing that sometimes you feel the ground shake and know that, man, I really hope everybody's okay. um,
Wow.
and then again 15-20 minutes later trying to go back to that normalcy of,
Yeah.
hey,
Okay, it's over. Let's go.
well, yeah, do you want to go grab some dinner? Do you want to go hit the gym and work out? Like
Yeah.
it's the human body wasn't really made for that. And as a
Or
result,
nor the human mind.
sure, absolutely, absolutely, more importantly. And as a result, when I came home, my wife and my 2 year old, um, they really struggled to get the full present version of me that was really there for them when I left. But when I came back, my mind was still in Iraq.
Yeah.
And I still struggled with hypervigilance. I couldn't go to a restaurant. Was always watching the doors, watching other people. Hypervigilance with, just being aware. And even today, I'm still a bit skittish. If I don't feel someone in my airspace and my radar, if you're behind me and I don't feel you behind me and you tap me on the shoulder, I will jump out of my skin. And then I'll come right back in it and I'm fine. But those little artifacts are still with me from Iraq. And, I, being 26 years old, 27 years old, coming back from Iraq, I still hadn't really fully dealt with all the trauma from the cult. And so adding that on top of Iraq, I was just a mess.
Oh, interesting. So you when you left, you still carried it.
Yes.
You ran away. You ran away physically, but emotionally and mentally and maybe even spiritually, you carried it with you to Iraq, and everything happened, and it just built upon
Abs-
everything.
Absolutely. When I joined the military and I left the cult, that was 18 years of programming. I didn't go seek therapy immediately as a 19-year-old. I thought I
Sure.
was, He-Man and just, I could deal with it and that's in the past. And, kind of the quintessentially macho, masculine energy, which, there is some merit to me separating myself from that situation, but you still have to deal with it.
Yeah.
And so many points in my life, I've learned the skeletons in your closet, if you do not deal with them, they will come back to haunt you.
Oh, no doubt. No
And
doubt. In
that,
any metaphorical sense you can think of.
absolutely,
That's right.
absolutely.
So as you were in the Air Force, um, what were did any regrets?
Oh no, absolutely not. The people are amazing. Uh, I was able to do so much traveling, be a part of so many really once in a lifetime great missions, helping people, humanitarian efforts, really cool missions with first flights of experimental aircraft and things of that nature. I was really fortunate in my military career. And, aside from going to Iraq, having some really traumatic experiences and being as well and sane as I am today. So it's all a win.
Yeah, yeah. It's that's one of the I don't have any regrets in my life because I know that if anything, no matter how small, changed up until this moment, you and I wouldn't be having this conversation right now. And I'm grateful for having this conversation. I'm grateful for my life. But
Absolutely.
I did have a moment. I was born in 1961. And that was the first year when I graduated from high school. That was the first year that they started the selective service. And it
Mm,
wasn't the draft, but you had to register for when the draft happened.
sure.
And at that time, we had the Iran crisis going on, where they held a bunch of our citizens hostage. Jimmy Carter was president, and Ronald Reagan was about to come in. and and, and so I wanted to finish my college education before I went to war, and I knew we were going to go to war
Sure.
because Iran had our people. And I went to USC to sign up for the Air Force ROTC. And Logan, I literally had my pen in my hand, and my
Wow.
dad was with me, and I was about to sign it and commit to 4 years, and I was ready for it. I was excited about it. But I mean, literally pen on paper, and I pulled it back, and um,
What made
and
you
I
do that?
decided not to, huh?
What made you not sign up?
I can't explain it. I
Really?
can't explain it. It was just it was I don't remember thinking about pulling my pen back. I think it was just a reaction. It was a reflex. I don't know what it was. And um, and I told my dad, I said, I can't do this. And as it turned out, the day Ronald Reagan was inaugurated was a day Iran let our hostages go. And but the reason I didn't want to get drafted before I got my college education. Um,
Smart.
but I often wonder, how different, how great my life would have been had I taken that path. I have no regrets in my life right now. I live in a great life, but it would have been a different kind of great.
Sure.
And I'm pretty confident of that. And you've had the benefit of traveling to places I will never travel to, and doing things I will never get to see, and experiencing you know, life, life, and I will say death in ways that few people can relate to. You came back, and the war followed you back, and I'm just reading your introduction because it was so powerful. The anxiety, the depression, the divorce, the numbness, and one day you made a decision to stop waiting for somebody to rescue you. Talk about that.
I very vividly remember living in Belgium at the time, and as I mentioned previously, I struggled to be present in my marriage after coming back from Iraq, and as a result, my wife and I divorced. And I was in Belgium going through this divorce, and I really hit a low point in my life. And
Again.
again, and I unfortunately turned to alcohol. I was an insomniac. I was really depressed and struggling with this. My whole model of the world was crumbling as I knew it. And again, those things that I had not dealt with from childhood, from Iraq, crept up on me. And I found myself with suicidal ideations again. I remember one morning vividly. I wasn't sleeping and I was drunk as a skunk walking to work at 3 a.m. And I remember thinking, if I killed myself, my daughter, who was 8 at the time, she would not have she would always think that that's an option. That, and that her dad could not fight when adversity was hard and her dad gave up, and that this might be an option for her.
Mm-hmm.
And that thought was not okay with me. That in that moment, for some reason, that perspective completely changed everything for me. And I decided to not only uh, stop drinking, get help, the whole 9 yards, but I also decided to pursue my dream of directing live television events and show her what it looks like to fight through adversity, to fight and pursue your dreams, and ultimately accomplish them.
That is amazing. That is a miracle,
It is. It
right?
really.
For I mean, for you to be in that state of mind, to be in basically a stupor, and to have the mental clarity come to you to think about your daughter. It's a miracle. Right? I mean, would you call it anything else?
Nothing less.
Right?
Absolutely nothing less.
Um, now this director thing, right? I mean, was this something that you always wanted to do, or did you just come up with it?
So, as a child, while I wasn't allowed to watch sports, I did, watch the news and certain made for TV events like award shows occasionally, things like that. And I've always had a fascination with how live events came together to be broadcast, and this thing is happening, moments from when I saw it.
Hmm.
And I found that fascinating. I So a little part of me always wondered if it was possible, if I could do that, if I could be one of those cool guys
Wow.
that calls, the shots and is a part of these amazing productions and work with amazing people to make live events appear flawlessly on millions of homes across the world.
It is crazy, isn't it?
It's like a symphony,
It
really.
is. That's a perfect
Yes.
description of it. It is a symphony. Everything's got to happen perfectly.
Everyone has to play their role in order for it to come off clean without a hitch. And the fact that it's done so widespread speaks to how good the technology is, how great the people are, and
Yeah.
the astute professionals that these folks are. So
I was watching the Dodgers, the
sure.
World Series, and there were several times during each game where I'm like, how do these guys do this? I mean, not the baseball players, but the audio visual stuff, right? And they're bringing up the replays and the focusing in on the umpires and down on the plate, watching the foot come in. You know, I mean, it is a symphony. It is just amazing at how these professionals do that work. So you decided to the old saying that you lead by example, right, is true. But what they don't say is that whether you're leading by a good example or a bad example, you are leading by example. So you decided at that moment to lead by a good example to your
Absolutely.
daughter.
Absolutely.
What an amazing decision.
I heard someone say, uh, either your life can be an example of a warning or an example of a blueprint of what to do.
Oh, I love that.
Yes,
That's
it's
beautiful. That is amazing.
or blueprint, which absolutely
So you went on to become a TV director.
I did. I spent the next 2.5, 3 years cold calling hundreds of people in the industry, emailing thousands of folks. I showed up boots on the ground. I moved to LA from Belgium, didn't have a network, didn't
Whoa.
particularly know anyone in the industry, and I started completely over. I was a PA, a production assistant, delivering coffee to basically kids, and I was a 30-year-old at the time, starting over in this new career, but determined that I had a skill set that would get me to where I was trying to go. And ultimately, now, through a lot of hard work, I am a live television director. I have 10,000 hours of 10,700 ish hours of experience, mostly sports highlight shows, corporate events, concerts, and the like.
Michael Jordan, where are you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's all full circle. And as a result, now being on this side of all of these really traumatic and beautiful and amazing experiences in life, I'm like, okay, how was I still able to become successful through all of this?
No kidding.
And so I've dug into the neuroscience of how the brain works, positive thinking, negative thinking, identities, what we believe about ourselves when we are by ourselves, and how I used military tactics on what makes the military so successful at accomplishing their missions. And I use that at a subconscious level I didn't know. But now I've dug into the science and understanding how I applied that to accomplish my goals. And now I help other people do that to accomplish their goals.
No kidding. No kidding. You know, you talked in my uh, intro to you, you talked about radical responsibility. What does radical responsibility mean to you?
Well, I kind of alluded to it earlier in the podcast,
Hmm.
but
I want you to spell it out.
addressing the skeletons in your closet and maybe those things that you're avoiding. One of my all-time favorite quotes is, "The cave you fear holds the treasure you seek." I tried to run away from the cult and all of those really foundational things that made me who I was instead of understanding it and embracing it. And as a result, those things kept biting me in the behind as I navigated life. Again, the same thing happened after Iraq. I did not take responsibility for um, not getting the help that I needed, not dealing with my alcoholism, not dealing with depression head on and saying, okay, these are the things that are keeping me from accomplishing my goals. Why is this continuously being an issue for me? Those skeletons in my closet that I was trying to avoid was the very thing that was holding me back
You
from
bet.
being um, what I like to say, the holistic version of yourself, because you need, when accomplishing your goals, professional, personal, etc., we don't live in a vacuum. If your health and nutrition isn't well, guess what? You're not going to show up to work in the best version of yourself. If you're um, if you don't have balance with your interpersonal dynamics, if you don't have wealth management balanced and solid footing, guess what? You're not going to come to your relationships in the proper headspace that you should, because you have stress in each of these or in a part of this pie that makes your wheel not move successfully. So when it comes to radical responsibility, it's really about taking that gut inventory of yourself and really looking deep within, because there's a lot of things that your friends and people from the outside can help and say, hey, here's a little bit of a mirror on what I see. But only you know a lot of those things that are perhaps systemic in your life that maybe you're avoiding. For me, it was that relationship that I had with my mother, where I kind of struggled with, why did she let me be bullied and go through this um, really difficult religion and I had no support. Um, it took me years to understand she was just doing her best. And even
Yeah.
as adults, we are flawed. We are doing our best. We want our best for our children, but that doesn't mean they get everything they need in the moment that they need it.
And it doesn't mean that we don't make mistakes.
Absolutely.
I mean, we screw up all the time.
Precisely.
And
Gaining experience.
yeah. And um, you know, it's funny. I think about the word responsibility, and as I mentioned about this book, right? One of the things that I've talked about when I talk about this book is victimhood, right? And victimhood happens when you blame others or other things for your circumstances. And I used my book as an example of the guys, these guys could have blamed anybody, everybody, anything, everything, right, for being thrown into these internment or concentration camps. But they took responsibility. And people go, "What do you mean they took responsibility? They weren't responsible for getting thrown in those camps." I said, "No, but they took responsibility for their own lives." And they decided not to blame. They decided not to look back. They decided that the only way they were going to get out of those camps forever is to prove their loyalty to the United States of America. And that's what they decided to do. And the whole idea of taking responsibility is a decision, right? It's a decision. And I just wrote down, I said, in your little journey, the first thing you decided to do was you decided, right? You decided to make a decision. And you made a decision, whether for whatever reason, in your case, it was a decision on behalf of your 8-year-old daughter, right? Which is incredible. And then you decided to act. And then you act not as in whatever acting and whatever in Hollywood, but to take action. And you found yourself with a level of determination where you weren't going to stop until you made it, right? So there's that
Absolutely.
whole
I didn't give
perseverance.
myself another choice.
Yeah, yeah. Um, how's your faith?
Strong.
Is it after all that?
Absolutely.
After
Absolutely.
all that,
There's
how
no
did
other.
you how did you how did you find the faith of your faith? I mean, you grew up in this environment that you ended up not believing in, and yet you came back. Tell us a little
So
bit about that.
so with faith, unfortunately, as we mentioned, humans are prone to error. And some people do unfortunately take advantage of others.
Sure.
But that cannot you cannot allow that to make you cynical. You cannot allow that to taint your uh, viewpoint of all humans. And so it was rocky. It was rocky in my earlier years, particularly my teens and early 20s, in navigating that for sure. Um, but deep inside, my resolve has always been to my higher power, and that, you know what, to be human is to err. And I think what religion and spirituality and faith teaches us is, you know, um, the golden rule. And I think if we all boil it down to treating others how you want to be treated, how you want people to treat your fellow brothers, your sisters, your offspring, knowing that we're all in this world, life, situation, this universe together. And when you realize that there's one consciousness and one, um, vibrational entity that we are all in together, it's like it makes everything a lot more clear.
It's a lot, and it's like, wow. I mean, when you think about it in those terms, we're all related. We're all
Absolutely.
related. I won't go into it, but in one of my podcasts, I talk about how it's mathematically impossible that we're not related to each other.
And
And Um,
treated each other the way, if we thought about it in that light,
exactly.
it'd be very different.
Exactly. And it's all about love. It's all about love. And there's I you know I've done a lot of public speaking, and one of the themes to one of my talks is that it's all about love, and we're in the middle of a renaissance of love right now. Um, I retired after 40 years of my career in high tech, and during that time, I helped shepherd in, I don't know, 7 or 8 generations of new technology. And with every generation of technology, we got smarter and smarter and smarter. But I recently coined a phrase that says, "We've gotten so smart, we've forgotten our heart." And we've gotten to that inflection point where people are going, you know what? What are we doing? What are we doing? And folks like you sharing your message and helping others, you know, um, shortcut the pain that you went through. Now, one of the things that I wanted to ask you about was understanding yourself, right? Because one of the things that I've been convinced of is that it really does start with you. But how do you get to you? How did
Mm.
you get to you? How did you start? How did you get to that point of going, this is who I am, and going from there?
That's a really beautiful and powerful concept and idea. And I think everyone, some people use, whether it's social media or friends or social lives or things of that nature to kind of mask some of the things that they're dealing with. But I think it's important to go on a road trip by yourself. Spend some time, even if you can, just a weekend by yourself without distraction, journaling, doing, creating, whether it's painting, writing. Spend some time getting to know you. And that can be difficult when we're in relationships and, when we have responsibilities. But I think it's really important, and it's something that we don't do very often or as much as we should, considering, we evolve every, so many years. Our likes, our interests change. um, Take time to do a self inventory and understand who we are. I focus a lot on identity, and
Yes,
a
talk
lot of
about that.
times it is the things that our parents have told us about ourselves
Yeah.
might not be steeped in 100% truth,
Or our friends, or our
or
enemies.
our enemies, or what we think we think about ourselves. It's true. Our mental
It's
gymnastics is
totally true.
complicated. And once you unwind some of these things and understand, we've learned with neuroplasticity, you are not hardwired to be any version of yourself. You can change. All you have to do is make that decision. But you have to become aware. You have to do that soul searching and understanding, um, those things that we talk and say about ourselves to ourselves when we are by ourselves. When you unravel all of those things during that time of solitude, because you're not going to find it when you're scrolling endlessly on uh, Instagram. You're not going to
That is
find it
true.
when you're binge watching, Netflix for 4 or 5 hours at a time. Those things actually cloud and inhibit you from understanding your true self. So, to circle back to your question,
So just before you go, we'll circle back to the question. That is really freaking scary, right? I mean, for a lot of people, being alone with yourself, and I'm not saying that you're going to pull out a knife and be done with it or anything like that,
it's,
right? But be alone with your own thoughts. Folks, you know what? First of all, I know a lot of you are thinking, why do I need to do that? That just sounds boring. Try it. It is amazing. And make sure you take paper and a pen with you and write down the stuff that just comes out, right? Because when your mind is when your mind's not engaged doing other things, guess what it does when things go quiet? It goes, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? What can I... right? And it just goes all this stuff. It's like, where did all this come from? Where did these thoughts come from? Right? It's amazing. It's just really, really cool. Okay, circling back to my question. Sorry, go for it.
No, no, no. It's powerful stuff. I think people underestimate the power of being by themselves and really taking time to do that self inventory. Um, a lot of people think, and I hear this so often, I do my best thinking in the shower. Well, I wonder why. There's no
Yeah,
external
that's right.
stimulation.
There's no cell phone in the
Right,
shower.
right. And your brain can finally
Yeah.
download and process some of those things that you've been, our daily lives distract us with. Oh, squirrel. Oh, there's this. Oh, there's that. But in the shower, in those times when you're by yourself, oh, you wonder why you can't sleep? Because you're finally giving your brain time to download and process those thoughts. Oh, by the way, I need to do this. I need to do that. Because you've been perhaps um, distracting yourself all day, your brain has finally has time to connect with you.
Well, your brain's been hijacked,
Yeah, absolutely.
right? Constantly, constantly. So if you think about that, you go, seriously? I don't want my brain hijacked, right? I mean, whatever it takes,
Which
just
is
try
why
it.
mindfulness is so important, which is a huge part of my practice. Being aware, not necessarily judging, definitely not judging, but becoming aware of your thoughts and being okay with them, letting them pass and regulating them. Because once you realize that your for so many people, their subconscious is in control of their thought
Oh,
process
totally.
versus the prefrontal cortex, the actual you version that is in control of your thoughts. I know it's kind of obscure, but trust me, once you understand the subconscious and the conscious, it's life changing.
Yeah, it totally is. One of my favorite songs ever is the late Whitney Houston's Greatest Love of All. Learning to love yourself, it is the greatest love of all. And it's the hardest love of all
For sure.
because we got crap rattling around our heads. If we think we're judgmental about other people, wait till you start to learn about yourself. You're going to find yourself more judgmental of yourself than you are of anybody else in the world. And so, the whole idea of learning to love yourself, the only thing harder, I think, than learning to love yourself is learning to forgive yourself. Yeah. Sorry,
I
we're now we're getting really deep, but
Beautiful. It's so beautiful. I
yeah.
heard someone to that point. I heard someone say, and this starts to get a little woo woo, but if you were to look at a 6-year-old version of you, a picture of yourself at the age of 6, and think about some of the things that we say about ourselves to ourselves now, and know that you're saying it to that person, that 6-year-old,
Oh,
because keep in mind, the history is a figment of our imagination. The future is a figment of our imagination. There is only really right now, and you are hurting that person, that 6-year-old version of you, by saying all these mean and hurtful things. Would you let somebody else talk to that 6-year-old that way?
oh my gosh. I've got a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old grandson. And what just flashed on me was saying what I say to myself
Mm,
to them. And if anybody said those kinds of things to them, I would kill them.
exactly.
And yet, I mean, what a great metaphor. What a great thing. And you think about that and you go, okay, um, and this becomes goes to the external because I'm the guy with the squirrel. Squirrel. So now I'm thinking about now I'm thinking about all those things. When people say bad things to other people, would you say that to your 6-year-old self or to your 6-year-old grandson? And if you wouldn't, don't. I remember when I was 6 years old, I saw Bambi. And the one the one thing that has stuck with me forever, and this is a long time ago. A lot of people don't even know what the hell Bambi is, but it was a Walt Disney cartoon with this
Google.
little deer, and his mother got killed by a hunter, and this little Bambi thing was growing up, and there was this little rabbit named Thumper. And anyway, just to cut this, there was a scene where Thumper's mama says, "Thumper, what does your father always tell you?" And Thumper said, "If you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all." And that stuck with me forever, right? Until now. Um, but you know, we've been talking about very deep stuff, but also really, really basic stuff, right?
Practical things you can do.
And learning to love yourself. It's all about love. It's all about love. So now, when you help folks and folks come to you, um, how to stop just surviving and start living the life that they were meant to live, right? Um, Living every day like it's a gift. Do you have any? I don't know. Can you leave us with something that we can apply like right now?
Absolutely. One of the biggest things that I teach is living in a state of gratitude. And it's not about spirituality, it's not about uh, more or less than others. It is about being thankful for what you have right now. And yes, things could always be better, things could always be worse. But you know what? I am so thankful that life isn't perfect, but I am as well as I am after some of the things that I've seen and some of the close calls that I've had in Iraq. I am thankful for breath. I am thankful that I did not take my own life. And I'm able to see my daughter, who's now 18, flourish in her adulthood. Just living in a state of gratitude. Actually, neuroscience has proven it rewires your
It
brain
absolutely does.
to see the positive in
It
life,
absolutely does.
thus pushing you forward and enhancing your viewpoint of the world and helping you look for opportunities that support your goals and dreams by just having a positive outlook on yourself, where you've come from, and where you are going. It's the simplest thing.
I hope you'll listen. I encourage you to listen to the previous podcast on Labor Day, not Labor Day, but on Veterans Day. I interviewed another veteran, his name, a very good friend of mine. His name is Steve Schwab. And we talked about this. And he said, "Listen, John," he said, "did you know?" And sorry about the dog in the background, folks, but I don't want to stop. Um, but and really cute dog, really cute, but just he gets like this and it just goes crazy. And so I'm gonna keep trying to go on with this thing. I'm sorry, Logan. Um,
Well,
but
here,
anyway, he said that it is impossible to be depressed and grateful at the same time. He said it is impossible. And what he said was that, instead of meditating every day, he sits down, quiets his mind, and he thinks about all the things he's grateful for. And this man went from being a grunt in the army to now today heading the largest vacation rental company in North America. His company manages 40,000 vacation homes. And we talked about his journey of starting in the army uh, and working his way to where he is today. But uh, grateful for his military experience, grateful for everything, you know. And there's so much power in that, right? I mean, there's so much power in gratitude, and so try it, folks. And you know what? Here's the thing. Here's the other thing that Steve and I talked about. It doesn't happen overnight. Nothing happens overnight, right? It's a muscle. It's a muscle. You keep using the muscle, you keep exercising the muscle, it gets stronger and stronger and stronger, right? And I call gratitude a muscle. I call forgiveness a muscle. You got to keep working at it. But there's nothing better, right, Logan?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So powerful. So powerful. So listen, you're doing amazing things and you're helping people and you're sharing your experiences, and there's nothing better in my mind than than experience, right? You and I talked about that. Um, how do people get to know more about you? How do people connect with you?
Absolutely. I'm on the socials, Instagram, TikTok, the Logan Unlimited.
The
Uh,
Logan Unlimited.
that's right,
I love
because
it.
I want people to be the U version, the U Unlimited. And my website is also the Logan Unlimited. Please reach out. I love to connect and see wherever you're on your journey, however I can support and help people be the best version of themselves.
And you know what, folks? You've heard me say this before, but getting help doesn't mean weakness. Okay? It doesn't mean weakness, right? I mean, a lot of you have heard it said that great leaders surround themselves with people who are better than they are, right? Those are great leaders. Those aren't weaklings. Think about that, right? So, theloganexperience.com. Check it
Logan,
out. Huh?
the
Oh,
Logan Unlimited.
The Logan Unlimited. Ah, bad John, bad John, bad John.
No, no,
Okay.
be nice. Be nice
Yeah,
to
that's
yourself.
right. Be nice. I love me. I love me. I love me. Okay, good. So the Logan Unlimited. All right, Logan, close us out.
I appreciate everyone. Please go get John's book, American Grit. It's seriously the as a current events buff, as a history buff. It's about these stories of people showing resiliency that give people like me the power when you're facing adversity to get through. It's all about bringing people together and feeling like you're not alone. So many of us, even though
Yes.
there's so many things that uh, the media and the world tries to do to segregate us, but once you remember, we're all in this together. Depression, divorce, anxiety. There's so many things that are really negative, but guess what? We all go through them. And you know what?
We
Chances
do.
are, if you reach out to someone that loves you and cares about you, they'll understand. They won't judge you. Please talk to someone. Love yourself, love one another. That's what this thing is about. Thank you, John, so much for
You
this opportunity.
bet. You
I
bet,
appreciate
Logan. And I'll tell you something, folks. If the people you're talking to don't support you and they do judge you, get them out of your life.
it. You
Get
can do
them out of
better.
your life, right? Find people who are going to support you. Find people who you support and will support you and will love you and lift you. And you do the
Reach
same
out
thing
to
for
John and
them.
myself. We'll be your new best friends.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. All right. But it's just, oh my gosh, we can go on forever. We can go on forever. Now I got this buzzing noise in the background. Folks, I'm so sorry. But anyway, we're gonna close this out. Logan, thank you for joining me. I love you. God bless you. Thank you for everything that you're doing to lift others. And folks, you know what? And by the way, you can get this book on Amazon, but you can get it for free. Just go to my website, johnsuzuki.com. You can download it for free. Okay. But yeah, and if you like it, let me know. It is an amazing story, and it isn't mine. It's a true story. I just wrote it. Okay. So with that, I love you. God bless you. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.